Welcome to the Search for Wellness podcast, where we embark on inspiring conversations to explore the many facets of health and well-being. I'm your host, Pooja, a certified fitness instructor, the co-owner of Beyond Body Fitness Studios. I'm also a qualified health coach, breath coach, and proud to say, a cancer coach. My personal journey towards wellness took a profound turn when I faced a cancer diagnosis 2 years ago. Despite leading a relatively healthy lifestyle, I realized that my understanding of well-being was limited at that time. This unexpected challenge ignited my quest for knowledge and a deep desire to restore balance and harmony into my body and life. Now, I'm here to share the wisdom and insights I've gained, because what's the point of all this knowledge if I can't share it? In today's fast-paced and stressful world, prioritizing our physical, mental, and emotional well-being is more critical than ever. This podcast aims to delve into a wide range of wellness aspects, from longevity, fitness, and supplements, to alternative practices like homeopathy, acupuncture, and sound therapy, as well as nutrition, diet, and innovative therapies. Through this platform, I'm committed to helping you make simple and sustainable changes that seamlessly fit into your daily life, empowering you to live a happy, healthy, and fulfilling life. Let's embark on this inspiring journey together and meet our special guest today. So, Sissle Rene, a remarkable Norwegian-born osteopath practicing in Nairobi, Kenya, has earned widespread acclaim for her unique approach to healthcare. Hailing from Norway with a background in physiotherapy from Germany, she delved into the field of osteopathy in her homeland. However, it was during the late stages of her practice that she began to unravel the profound connection between the human body and the emotions it harbors, often detecting profound responses from her clients. This growing fascination with the interplay between the body and the mind led her to complete her master's in a degree of clinical psychology in 2017. Sissle's journey is an inspiring testament to her dedication in pioneering a holistic approach to well-being in Nairobi. Welcome, Sissle. I'm so excited to have you here. You have no idea. I mean, on a personal level, you have been a huge impact in my life. Not only are you my osteopath, but I feel like you're also a very close friend of mine, and our friendship has blossomed through this journey. I almost feel like every time I have been to see you, it's been so therapeutic, not only on a physical level, but even on a mental level. We've connected over many years. You've helped me through my journey, through my cancer diagnosis. I think you were one of the first people I wanted to come and share it with and be open about it. So I came to you and I sat there and I opened up and I told you what was happening, and you were amazing. You really guided me and you really protected me from that fear. I still remember that day when you touched me and you felt me and you said, but I don't feel any negativity out of here. I don't feel any negativity coming from your body. So having you here on this podcast means a lot to me. So thank you so much for sharing this space with us today and with me. So I wanted to start off by asking you, my first question is that when did you move to Kenya and why?
Well, first of all, Pooja, thank you so much for those beautiful words. It's really very heartfelt and it means a lot to me to do this podcast with you, whom I also feel close to. And I'm honored to have shared this journey with you. I came to Kenya in 2009 with my husband and 2 kids at the time. Because my husband had a project here supported by the Norwegian government. And I didn't know if I could work here actually. So for me, it was coming here, settling us as a family, and starting up my yoga practice. And suddenly I was approached by people that heard I was an osteopath, if I could come and look at this and look at that. And then I teamed up with a psychologist, a British psychologist here, who asked me to share her practice. And that's when I got a work permit and never looked back, I guess. We loved our life here. It's a beautiful country to live in, with its challenges, absolutely, I would say.
And you're not the first person to say that.
Yeah, I'm sure. But it has been a very, I would say, beautiful journey for me as well. It's been a journey, and through it I have learned a lot.
That's amazing. And would you call this home?
Yes, absolutely. It's been home for 14 years, and but always I've come to terms with that you can have more than one home.
I agree.
So I am Norwegian, we have a home in Norway, and I'm grateful for that. So I have, I guess I have accepted that I can have two homes.
And you know what? Home is where the heart is, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I go to the beach and I feel at home.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I want to live I want to live in front of the ocean. It's just,
Yeah.
you feel
True.
at home when you go to the
Yeah.
beach. The ocean welcomes you with open arms, just the
Yeah.
sound of it, walking barefoot on the sand.
Yeah.
So home is honestly where the heart is, really.
Yeah. True.
So we're going to go straight into it, and I wanted you to start by sharing what osteopathy is, what is physiotherapy, what a physiotherapist does, and what an osteopath does. What are the differences? You have a dictionary of knowledge, so we're here to hear you share that.
Well, I have a side of it, at least, or which I've tried to make more about seeing the whole person. So when I started out as a physiotherapist in Norway, I worked in a couple of hospitals, and which was great learning. But I felt when I started in private practice that I very easily came to a halt with what I knew. I love the study of physiotherapy, which is similar to osteopathy. It's anatomy, physiology, but I felt I was missing something, because people always came back. But now my pain has moved, and it's not the lower back, it's the neck, and I couldn't kind of see the connection. So when I learned about osteopathy, it was for me like a light switch went on, and I'm like, wow, that's the missing link. It's the more to see the connections in the body. That's how I experienced it, at least. So osteopathy included a couple of systems that I hadn't known of in physiotherapy, and that is the visceral osteopathy, which is how the organ system is linked to the musculoskeletal system, and how our craniosacral system is also linked to the musculoskeletal system. So it was a deeper dive for me during those years of studies into the anatomy of the body, the physiology, the neurology, and I got a deeper understanding, I guess, of also our nervous system, how it works, which is quite complicated, I found, and how I could use that in my practice. So it's more, to me, an understanding of the cause and effect, or that was my journey in these studies. So if you, for example, come with a lower back pain, I don't only look at your lumbar spine, I look at also anything that is connected to your lower back, which can be a lesion in your ankle, and how the muscles and nerves are connected to the lower back. Or it can be like that you have tension around your kidney fascia, which has also nerves going to the lower back. And very often I have to release in other places than actually where the pain is. So that's why people sometimes stand up from the bench and are like, oh wow, what happened? The pain is gone, and I had no idea why it was there or where it came from. So that was to me fascinating. So I love those years of studying osteopathy as well.
It's funny you mentioned that, because oftentimes we don't even realize that the source of the pain is not actually where the pain started. It's not where it started. It started somewhere else.
True.
And it's traveled to that place, and it's giving the body a signal through that.
Yeah.
And that is almost like its outlet. And we also almost forget that all of this is connected. You know?
Yeah.
Oftentimes as humans, we feel that we're so, everything is disconnected, that, you know, my left arm is disconnected from my right arm, you know, my head. And if I have stress in my body, it's not going to affect anything else. It's, I mean, if I have stress in my head, sorry, it's not going to affect anything else in my body.
Yeah.
But oftentimes we don't realize that all of this is related, and it's all related through the fascias. It's all related through our nerves. It's all related through the tissues in our body.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess you have created that awareness, and you have brought that into the Kenyan world, where I don't even think most people even now don't even know what an osteopath is and what an osteopath does.
True.
I think a lot of people, hopefully with this podcast, we will, you know, end up learning what an osteopath is and what she does, and what's the difference between going to a chiropractor or a physiotherapist. And also, when you talk about the cranial, most people don't even know what that is. That is actually your head, your neck, right?
Yeah, it's your skull.
It's your skull,
and all that's within that.
and the nerves that are all connected to that, and the tissues and the muscles.
Nerves. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, which is also works great on infants and babies, but all through our lives, we have come to know that there is movement in the skull. You know, we think that everything in the bones are so hard and stuck, but it isn't. It has to be flexible. There is some micro move. We wouldn't call it movement, but plasticity maybe, and you're right. We're only, I think, at the time. No, there might be 1 or 2 osteopaths at the coast, and we're 3 only in Nairobi, I think. And all of us, you know, as osteopaths, it's a bit like art, I guess. We all work a bit different.
Yeah.
Because I also explain this to my clients, that, you know, we as therapists, or you also work and use tools from the toolbox that goes with your own personality as a person, as a therapist as well. So we all work a bit different, I would guess. And to me, it has been a real what should I say, enlightening process to go into combining it with psychology and with the mind and emotions, and also dive a bit deeper into how our thinking, how our belief systems, how our worldview is reflecting in our body as well. And I think a lot from my own yoga practice taught me a lot about that as well.
You know, when you spoke about the fact that you guys are artists, right? I just realized that, you know, any form of healing is actually an art. If you think about it, any form of healing, medicine is an art.
Definitely.
And it's all about tapping into that intuition. It's about tapping into that person's energy and your energy, and that frequency that has to relate, that has to match, that has to connect. So when I come to see you today, you might do this kind of work on me, but then the next time I come, it will be something totally different. Even a part of the body you've never even worked on, maybe, but that is because that part of the body needed more healing. That part of the body is where you were drawn to through that intuition. Am I talking sense or no?
Yes, and it's interesting to hear how you experience it, which is so true. And I guess that's why I like not only doing counseling as in talking is great, but my hands are my best tools actually, where I can that's where I learned to listen actually to what's going on. So your body is talking to me, and I started feeling these emotions. It's a kind of empathy, I guess. It's like when you walk into a room, if you're a bit sensitive, you will feel, and people even say, "Oh, the energy there was really thick. You could just, you know, with emotions
knife,
or whatever." And that's what I feel sometimes when I put my hands on someone's body, that I can feel the emotions coming up. And that's when I thought, okay, I need to study this as well to kind of have a bit more of a background in what I'm doing here. And it's very interesting because when we talk the language of energy and frequencies, and a lot of people think that's very esoteric, and but energy is actually just movement, and it's a power we all have. It's like electricity. We have that in our body, and it's transformed to different to heat or to even emotion is something that is moving in our body and expressing something, and it's and then that's energy and law of energies. They just transform the whole time, and you can actually feel it. And all the cells in the bodies also has frequencies that they work on, and when they're healthy, they're on a specific frequency, and when they're unhealthy, they change their frequencies that you can measure. So more and more also science is catching up in what we are actually also intuitively sensing and palpating in the body. Like we now have some studies actually also showing how we are storing our emotions in memory cells in the fascia, which is everywhere in the body. The fascia is what binds us together. It's where the lymph, venous system, arterial system, the nervous system is running within, and it's what it's the soft tissue as well. And we can store emotions anywhere in the body, like in the fascia, and more science is pointing to that now as well. So so I like that we can that we maybe our intuition is a bit ahead of that.
And when you talk about these emotions that are stored in the fascias, could they be good emotions and bad emotions?
Sure.
Yeah.
You can feel joy in the body as well.
You can feel the joy too.
Yeah.
But is it oftentimes more the bad emotions that are the ones that bring in the discomfort and the signals to the body, the pain and...
Yes. Yeah. That undeniably. And it's interesting because there's also some psychological research showing that as human beings, our brain stores negative memories longer than positive ones.
Amazing.
So so that's why sometimes it's easier for us to get hooked up in negativity than in the positive things.
Yeah.
And I think in the body we are also I think we're conditioned that way to not express negative emotions. I was just looking at listening to Gabor Mate, you know, that doctor.
Amazing.
And he said that actually 80% of autoimmune diseases we see in women, because and his theorizing around it is that women, we are so much more conditioned to hold negative emotions, to suppress them. We are not supposed to, in many cultures, even more than where I come from, where you're not supposed to express anger or and when we suppress that, it actually creates toxins and stress in the body, and we have stress loops going the whole time in our body, and it creates inflammation, and the immune system is kind of attacking the body, attacking ourselves. And so there you have rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, all of these many diseases that we think are autoimmune diseases.
But I also think, I also believe that cancer is also an emotional disease. Most of the time it is also related to the emotions, and it's to do with, again, suppressing and storing that emotions. Through my journey, I feel like I have used emotional healing quite a bit, And it's so funny because I started doing Kundalini yoga.
Yeah.
I'd never even discovered. I'm like been teaching yoga for years. Been doing yoga since I was in my mom's tummy. But I'd never really discovered or understood Kundalini yoga before.
Yeah.
And then after everything I went through, I started to practice Kundalini yoga and just opening up the chakras.
Yeah.
And I got to my second energy center, which is the Swadhisthana. And I just started crying.
Yeah.
I just started not even like cry. I started bawling. And in my head, I was like, I have no idea why I'm crying, but my body was crying. It was not even my mind, it was my body that was crying. And it was releasing all this stored emotion. And this was all after my surgery. So it was almost like I was releasing that trauma from having my uterus removed, from having all of that happen to me. And I felt so much lighter. I couldn't even finish the whole session. I had to lay down after that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to finish this session another day. I cannot finish the rest of the session. Luckily, I was doing it on my own. Otherwise, if I was in a group setting, I would have really tried to again hold my emotions.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was so happy that I didn't. So you're so right. I'd really like to speak more about this holding trauma in the body. And I know that oftentimes when I have come to see you, you've felt an emotion held in maybe my liver or in my spleen. What kind of emotions do we hold in our bodies? And what kind of emotions are held in which parts of the body?
So I know there are therapists who are very set on that certain memories you find only in the liver or only in the kidneys, or and I see it often that way, but not always. I don't. I'm not categorizing it that strongly, but very often I do find that in the liver and gall we hold, and we have that in our language. He was spitting gall, which is anger and frustration. Kidney, bladder often is fear. And worry, small intestines, I find often that it's very worrying, but it can also be sadness, grief, and shame, I feel oftentimes, guilt, but very often it's suppressed anger and worries and fear. Those are very strongly, worry and fear we hold a lot. But and sadness, grief, and you know, also we know now that trauma, even though you might not even remember it, it could have happened in your childhood, it is imprinted in our brains sometimes, and also in fascia in the body. So I have had patients where I've started to release and I feel here is something really deep and really strong, like it can be very strong grief, for example, and then or it could have been in patients. I had one who had really strong migraines since she was 6 years old, and she had never figured out why, and now she was in her end of her 20s, and I started working on her body, and I found, well, something went on when you were around 5, 6. What happened? And her parents got divorced, and she didn't realize how much she had held
and she didn't process it.
Yeah, of even her mother's, I guess, trauma to the mom she had held on to as well. So a lot came up, and actually the migraine disappeared.
Amazing.
Over the next following weeks when we released this. So it's we also take on emotions from others, and when we are children we can easily take on traumas from our parents or from people close to us as well. And I'm not saying that it's always that it's that easy, you know, that it's just one thing. Very often it's many things coming together, and it's like taking off peeling off
an onion, right? Layers and layers.
Yeah, like you felt like suddenly, oh, what's this? This is something totally different.
Yeah,
something that and it was time for it to come up.
Yeah, exactly. It was time for it to come up. Exactly.
Yeah,
everything
also
has its place and time.
Yeah.
But that is just amazing. I felt, I truly find that, you know, with you, it's almost like a emotional journey also. Do you ever feel like when a patient comes and like I said about my Kundalini, do they just start like crying profusely, and you know that okay, this is it, it's coming out?
How we are taught to hold back. So I tell my patient, please let it out, and I can see many are kind of fighting to keep the tears back in there. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm like, no, that's why you're here. It needs to, and it's just so that's such a common reaction. And we just taught that way to hold it back.
It's true. It's so true to hold it back. I feel like in a lot of my experience, the minute I showed vulnerability, my healing began.
Yeah.
Vulnerability is what created that spark for my healing to happen. And I still remember I'd gone to this amazing lady called Chanvi who did this cacao healing ceremony. She lives in London, but she's from Kenya, and whenever she comes down she has these ceremonies. So one of my beautiful friends took me there for this ceremony, and the card I picked was so apt for me at that time that when I just saw the card I just started crying. A room full of strangers, although like I had a few people who knew who I was, but still it was a room full of strangers. And I just shared. I was so honest. It had only been a month since I'd had or 2 months since I'd had my surgery and my diagnosis. And I just opened up and shared what I had just experienced and been through. And I felt so powerless, but I came out of there feeling so powerful. It was almost like, okay, now I'm going to do something about this. I had to express it to be able to embrace it which was so amazing. Wow, I just love this sharing.
And it is powerful because it's also what I love in this journey is that when I look at the anatomy of where we have what we call nerve plexuses, like it's a bundle of nerves, nerve clusters, where a lot of nerves go out to innervate the organs, or especially when I look at the more Eastern philosophy of the chakra system, the chakras are placed just where these plexuses are.
Amazing.
And that I find is, so it's nice to just be open to other almost like philosophical ways of seeing how the body works as well. But there are energy workers that are like Caroline Mist, you know her?
No,
so she's also, she calls herself a medical reader, I think, but she works a lot with exactly what you explained with the chakra system and how we are holding, for example, emotions there. We block one chakra, and you can also see the nervous system there is not working.
And the energy and the chi is not flowing.
Like you get UTIs or cystitis and all those things.
And it's so funny. Do you remember how many UTIs I used to get? I used to probably come to you with that all the time. So bizarre, right?
Yeah. And then, but she would take it one step further and say that when it is blocked, this is where you also have your energy leak. This is where you're then leaking your... So when you come out after what you just explained, a release like that, it's like you have healed a part of this chakra and you've taken your power back. And that's why you feel like...
Empowered.
Empowered. It's really... And
amazing.
It works. Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it?
So Sissle, we talk about hands being one of the most powerful healing tools we have. Almost like when a mother knows when her child is sick, immediate responses, put your hand on the forehead of the little child to check if there's a fever. And it always eases the child, always soothes their pain. But I know for a fact that your hands are super powerful and super healing. For me and for my husband especially. We know how often he is at yours. Let's not talk about it too loud. I might get in trouble. But why is it that some people have this healing power and some don't?
I wouldn't know. I don't believe it. Maybe it's like that. I think it's something we develop, like any, like blind people learn to, they use their hands as their eyes. They learn braille. They can feel textures that are very different. That's their tool, right? So they develop very sensitive hands. We have and fingertips are very sensitive, by the way. You know, we have a lot of receptors there. So and I think when there's something you love to do, you do it more. I love the work I do, so I do it every day, and then you feel more and more. And I think anyone can develop that if you have the love for it and the passion for it. That's my belief, but I don't know. But I would say that I think anyone can develop that because it's like a sense, like any other sense, like eyesight or taste, or you just develop one sense more.
Yeah.
So the healing of it, I think, is I can't maybe I won't try and even explain that, but I think we heal when it's like you are seeing something. When I touch your skin and I see what's under, and I feel the organ, how it moves, that I have learned, and I restore that movement that has been stuck. That's a healing in itself. And I also believe that anything that we pay attention to changes. Yeah, that's a bit like quantum physics. The electron that you are observing actually changes its movement, so or its placement even. It's I think anything we pay attention to changes.
Like Dr. Joe says, where you put your attention, you put your energy. So when you put your attention in the right place, the energy shifts in that place, right?
So you can do it for yourself.
Yeah. And I guess it's practice, right? Practice makes perfect. So anyone can really become a healer. Anyone can really do any of this stuff. It's just that you need to practice it. You need to, you know, open up to it.
Yeah, and healing, remember, healing it sounds also so, in a way, esoteric, but healing is actually mending. It's mending. We're all,
We're always healing.
Yeah, we are. The body is always in a healing process, putting its attention to where we need healing. Yeah, the whole time. You're right.
Yeah. And the body's always working for you, not against you.
Totally.
And to allow it to heal also. This is why it's so important to always take that rest day, to switch off, to disconnect.
Yes, definitely.
And then, you know, I wanted to speak to you about the placebo and nocebo effect. Now, you know, people will be like, oh, I'm not sure. I believe that she could touch me and she could move things around and she can feel my emotions just by her hands. But then, little child, I mean, I am an example of this. My son Sid, when he was 9 months old, he had horrible reflux. We brought him to see you. I think brought him for like 1 or 2 sessions, and his refluxes improved drastically. My daughter Navika, she had severe eczema as a baby. I brought her to see you again. It really helped calm the eczema down. And obviously, a child doesn't have that placebo or nocebo at that moment.
True.
So how is it that it is working, you know, and some people believe it doesn't work for them? Yeah.
I think like when we talked about this earlier, I was thinking, you know, placebo is something you always see as a variable when you do effect studies of medication, for example. So anything that that any doctor gives or tells you or medicates you will also be connected with a placebo or nocebo effect. So placebo is, I believe it works. So there's even been, you know, double-blind studies where one group just gets sugar pills and they have had a better effect than those who got the actual medication because they believe they got the medication. So that's a part of any interaction, I would say, and it can work for you when if you really you come to me because you believe that this is what really makes me feel good, and then when you believe in it, it also works because of that, partly, I would guess. But not only, I don't think only, and it's just the other way around. I have also had patients when I started out in osteopathy that they were just sent to me by someone and didn't really believe. You could see their whole Norwegian like this, and they were surprised because it actually helped. So
Wow,
it can, but nocebo is when you don't believe in this at all. And that can also then have the other effect that it doesn't. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the person showed up at your door, so he had some mild belief in it, right?
Exactly.
There is something there. No, but it's amazing. I feel like, you know, you're one of the most inspirational people I have met in my life. You keep inspiring me. I love having our conversations. So now we're going to talk about a few light things, okay? So if there's one thing that you've learned through your work, what would that be and why?
Oh, I've learned, I feel I learn something every day from the people I see that come to me. I think the main thing that I have learned through my work that I wouldn't have believed before, maybe, is that anything can be healed, and I strongly believe that. Not by me necessarily, but by not through medication or even surgery. But if you work with your body to be in balance and help it in the right way, and also with your mind is much stronger than you would ever believe. I think anything can be healed, and I have seen it. So yeah, I think I've learned that. Yeah,
it's so true. I totally believe that also, that anything can be healed, and your mind is the most powerful weapon you have.
Yeah,
it can use it for you or against you.
Yes, exactly.
So what you feed your mind is what your body is listening to and feeling every single day.
Yeah.
What has been your biggest inspiration in your journey so far?
Oh, for sure. The people I meet. I mean, I love working in Nairobi, and that's my inspiration, because I meet people from all over the world. Nairobi is so cosmopolitan. People come from everywhere, and to me, people have shown me so many ways of living, and it has given me courage to be on this journey myself. Yeah, I think that's my biggest inspiration.
And I just feel like also in Nairobi, or even in Kenya in general, people are just very open here, very humble,
Yeah.
you know, very grounded,
Yeah.
in a sense, open to belief, open to believing,
Yeah.
welcoming, kind. There's also this very sense of community and belonging that you feel here, and togetherness.
Yeah. And there's always an open door to go through.
always.
People always say welcome.
Exactly.
And yeah, no, I must say it's really supported my journey in the direction in my path that I knew I had to walk.
Yeah.
But I felt sometimes it was maybe more difficult from where I come from, which is more conformed and more conservative. I think I can say that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
What are you passionate about?
What am I passionate besides my work?
Yeah, besides your work.
I I love yoga, and I started that journey before coming to Kenya. But here again, I met a community of people doing yoga, which has also been very enriching. It came to a halt a bit through the pandemic, where I couldn't join classes, but I just come back from the Lamu Yoga Festival, which I go to now once a year with a couple of really good friends of mine, and yeah, I'm passionate about that. That's a week that is just nothing else has precedence over that week. Yeah, so yoga, and then passionate. Yeah, I mean, I'm very family. I love my family, and I think I've always had very much support from my husband.
Oh,
He
bless.
will, yeah, that's a blessing. If I found, oh, this is going to be too difficult, he would always back me up and say, no, you can do it, and always supported me. And my kids, I've learned so much from them, and still do.
That's so nice. I think every time I hear you talk about the Lamu Yoga Festival, I keep promising myself that I'm going to go next year. I'm going to go next year because you make it sound so amazing.
It
And
is.
often like it almost like fills your cup again, right? It's like a recharge.
Oh, it is so
Yeah.
beautiful. But just Lamu has a very special place in my heart as well because
Very
it has
spiritual place.
Yeah, it has. It's a beautiful atmosphere there, and specifically the yoga festival, which has teachers from all over the world that are just amazing, and was the first time I did Kundalini yoga as well. So when you talked about that, which was actually mind blowing, yeah.
I feel like recently there's been a lot of buzz around Kundalini yoga because again, people want to heal. There's this, they've realized that there is this trauma that is stuck inside us, and then these are the modalities that we can use to express them and release them in the bodies.
And through breathing and movement.
Breathing, yes, breath work. Yes, exactly. I'm a big believer of breathing and breath work to help release trauma too.
Me too. Yeah.
So what is your wish for wellness in the next 5 years?
My wish is, and I think I haven't emphasized that in this talk, my wish has always been to integrate these modalities that we have talked about today with allopathic medicine. And I think because, medicine is a fantastic profession to have, being a medical doctor as well, and especially for emergency, more, I would say, after accidents and surgery.
Totally.
But I wish my wish is to merge more with complementary medicine and alternatives as well, which I can say, sadly, I have seen in Norway gone the other way. It has been almost a crusade against alternative medicine.
Oh, wow.
And not osteopathy, we're kind of included, but that I find is very sad, I must say, because we are throwing out a lot of we're throwing out the baby with the bathwater to kind of exclude it,
Wow.
So the saying is to protect people from quacks and harmful therapies, which I agree, but safety is number one always. So you need kind of a good background, or a safe background when you start to treat people. But my hope is that we can start looking at the whole person coming in to your office, and not just a shoulder or a knee, but that we all can embrace that.
And that's so right, because I think the whole point is to move forward with integrative treatment. So you're integrating the holistic modalities, and you don't have to integrate all of them, and then you are complementing it with the allopathic. And integrating is probably the best way forward. I do see that it is popping up recently, and I do feel like there is hope for it, especially with the new generation. There is this little bit of a, okay, but why? There's a lot of this why going on with them, which is so nice, and they're questioning it. And also building that foundation. Like I do that with my kids now. I build this foundation with them where I'm like, okay, ask the whys. Don't be shy.
Yes, exactly.
Ask the whys. You have the right to ask, why are you giving me this? Why am I doing this? There is nothing wrong with asking why. But I think that is so true, and I wish that too. Actually, I really, really do.
Well, you're a proof because you have done that journey with integrating.
Yes,
you've done the allopathic, and you've done but all the research you put into that to really find the best way is really commending you for that. Yeah, because it takes a lot to. It's not laid up for you.
No, it is. It's not. Yeah. It's definitely not. It was not an easy path. It was not an easy journey. It was the hardest path. It was actually harder choosing that path as opposed to choosing the other path where I let somebody else decide my fate.
Yes.
Because here I've taken ownership and I've said, no, this has happened to me. My body created the cancer. My body's the only one that's going to help me destroy this. And that's why I chose this path. So we're going to end on that high note. I'm very, very thankful to you and very grateful to you that you have spent this time with me and that you've shared such amazing knowledge with me and with everyone. I definitely have learned so much from you again today. I always keep learning from you. Yeah, and I think it's been an amazing, amazing talk with you. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge with us, and we definitely have to do this again. There's always going to be another time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pooja. I have really enjoyed it. I have. So thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm wishing you well on this new journey you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay.